Hello. Today we will be connecting to knowledge about what happens when we drop our bodies. And I like to say drop our bodies because when we say the word die, it seems very ominous, whereas when we say drop our bodies, it's just a little bit of humor, it's a little light, and it really points to our identity, which is not in the body, and our greatest essence is non-physical. And when I have people around me who pass away, who drop their bodies, I often take a moment to connect with them, to sense where they are now, and to receive any information from them on that experience. And there have been cases where in our Siddhar community, Siddhars are highly advanced meditators, so we drop our body through meditation regularly. We transcend, we exit the body, enter a beautiful still space beyond the body, and then re-enter. Because we transcend, we go beyond the body and then we re-enter. And the stillness we absorb from exiting the body gets integrated into the experience of having a body. And then you can be in two places at the same time. You can sense the non-physical with the physical. And so when one of us drops their body and becomes completely non-physical without the body, then I often take a moment to sense, to see if that person is giving me any information from beyond, because there is sometimes some limit to being in the body, some ignorance to being in the body. And so when somebody drops the body, there'll be less ignorance. So I want to know if they can give me some information, some downloads, and I can integrate them. The vibration is very different. So, you know, they can feel like there's some kind of interference in trying to translate what's non-physical into words. But I did do this the other day. One of our beloved Siddhars passed, and I set a sankalp, an intention to connect with any knowledge they would like to share. And I'm going to try and put it into words. So I was given some images um, of people that were not related in any way to the Siddhar that had passed. And I was also, as well as given those images, was given an insight alongside it of the aspects of those people in the images were also aspects of the Siddhar who'd passed. And the insight was, we are all interconnected and one, and we all channel specific aspects, and that can appear like a personality. But when we drop the body, we become one with everything else. And so when I was trying to connect to certain aspects of my friend who'd passed and wanted to connect with their personality, the intelligence was saying, well, that personality is now merged with all personalities. And if you want to connect with that specific personality or those specific aspects, they can be found in these people. And those people were the people in the images. And so I'm going to try and say it in another way so it's clear for everybody. We are one when we drop the body. We don't have a separate identity. When we take a body, it's channeled into a separate personality, specific aspects. And when we drop the body, we kind of merge back into oneness, into unity, into a completely unified state. And so, if I'm missing, if my human personality is missing certain aspects, then the intelligence will show me, well, you can find those specific aspects that you loved in that person, in this person, and in this person. And so you can find your past friends and loved ones in the eyes of people all around you. You might go to the supermarket and you might bump into a stranger and have a short conversation, and they might be very kind and attentive. They might remind you of somebody that's passed. And in a way, they are the person that's passed because they're channeling the same aspects. And so it makes sense if we're all one at one level and we have the illusion of being separate when we have our personalities, then that would make sense. I know it can sometimes be a bit kind of, what do you mean? This is a bit like giving me some brain ache. But it's actually quite simple. We're one when we drop the body with everything for all time. And then when we come into a body, we like funnel a specific aspect, a specific personality. And so if we have lots of people that are channeling different parts of consciousness that are showing up in different personality types, when one of those bits of consciousness drops and goes into everything, we can start missing that bit of consciousness. So if I'm friends with Joey and Joey drops his body, poof, off goes into oneness, consciousness, my little bit of consciousness that's in the body can go, well, I miss Joey. I miss that bit of consciousness called Joey. And then I'll try and connect to that bit of consciousness called Joey. But that bit of consciousness called Joey is now one with everything. And so if I say, well, I want to speak to Joey, then the intelligence might say, well, you can find Joey in the eyes of your dog. You can find Joey in the conversation with a stranger in the supermarket. You can find Joey in a work colleague. And that's why people say, oh, so and so reminds me of Joey. And it's not that they remind you of Joey, they actually are Joey. We are everybody else. There is no idea that we're separate that's accurate. So the only correct way of seeing the world that's truthful is from a unified state. So we always get ignorance when we exit that unified state and enter the body, because we have to lose that information sometimes to even have an experience of being a separate person. And when we meditate, when we transcend, when we go beyond the body, we can start to have the sense of being one, yet also being an individual. So there's that paradox going on there, and we can hold space for both at the same time, and we can channel information, and we can have experiences that we may try to put into words. And I do hope that it makes sense. I know sometimes these things can be paradoxical. And they can cause a bit of a brain ache if we're trying to relate to them with our mind. We kind of need to kind of meditate and feel into it. And when I get these insights from beyond, either in meditation or through connections and gateways through people that have passed, it's hard to put it into words, and I try my hardest to do that and put it into words, but maybe you can just feel into what I'm saying. And sometimes there can be some fear of losing the personality when we talk about dropping the body. A lot of people, they don't want to drop the body. They feel, oh, who am I going to be without a body? I'm going to not exist. And that's a little trick that the ego plays on you, because you're more yourself when you're one with everything. And the trick it plays is trying to convince you that if you're an individual, you're safer and more powerful. But that's not true. The safest, most powerful place to be, the most relaxing, the most blissful place to be, is when we're connected and we sense we're connected to everything. And there's subtle ways of knowing that you're connected to everything. Our empathy will point us in a direction. And the empathy, relating to something else, feeling what it would be like in their shoes, not wanting to hurt them, being happy when they're happy, this beautiful connection is a form of unrefined unity consciousness. Sometimes we think we need to like dissolve into some blob to realize what it is to be one, and that's not the case. You can experience subtle senses of that through heightened empathy, through not wanting to hurt other beings, through love, through compassion. And that is why love and compassion are true. And the other emotions, when we have like anger and a fear of fearfulness and resentment and all of these other emotions, they're just stresses being released. But when we're unified, when we're one, that's when we feel compassion. That's when we feel open, calm, connected, relaxed. And then we know we're seeing the truth. You can't see the truth if you're not calm. It's always going to be distorted. So when we want to connect with truth, we have to first return to calm. There's no way of seeing clearly if we are agitated, if we are angry, if we are fearful, if we are resentful. These are just passing stresses, and once they're out the system, we can return back to our natural state of calm, and we can see clearly. And seeing clearly shows us we are one with everything. And even though we're having a human experience, we will be dropping that human experience. Nobody gets away with not dropping the human experience. And then back to the oneness experience, which is the eternal experience, which is the only thing that's actually accurate. So there's a forgetting of that when we enter the body. There's a forgetting of our eternal nature. There's fear, there's holding on to the body, there's trying to stop the aging process, there's trying to like compare ourselves to other people's bodies, and just so much going on with holding on and judging the body and trying to change the body and being obsessed about the body. And it can get too much, it can get in the way. It's not that we trash our body. No, 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 no. We don't trash our body. We just know that we are beyond our body. And the best way to know that you're beyond your body is to find an effortless meditation practice, such as transcendental meditation, or any meditation where you're not forcing your mind to stop, where you're very gentle and kind, where you allow your mind to wander and return back to whatever object you've decided you're going to return back to, whether it's a sound, whether it's your breath, whether it's something that you're hearing in the distance. Mind will wander off, mind will return. Mind will wander off, mind will return. And when it returns, it always returns back deeper, into deeper levels of silence. And every time it returns back, it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And every time we go deeper, we're transcending the body more. And then we might transcend the body completely. And we might be aware that we're doing this. And sometimes we might not be aware that we're doing this. But if we're effortless about it, then I'm pretty sure that we're doing it. And some people are more sensitive about that. And so if you have somebody that's passed, know that you are that person at a unified level. So the idea that you are apart from them is an illusion, because you are them. And if we come down a level, then there are separate aspects that are that person. There is a timeline where that person appeared and had a body and then dropped their body. And so there's different levels of knowledge. The more higher we go, the more we transcend the body, the more accurate the knowledge becomes. But when we are trapped in the limitations of our daily grind, feeling separate, in a survival mode, maybe we're stressed, we just feel like very, very small and separate to everything else we are perceiving. And that's okay. There might be moments where we feel more expanded. Maybe we go into nature. Maybe we just feeling sleepy and we're lying on the ground somewhere and we just momentarily merge with our environment and forget who we are. Maybe in moments of awe when a baby is born, or when we have some emotion that's so big and compassionate, we might lose ourselves then and connect to something greater than ourselves. And when we connect to something greater than ourselves, we start to see more accurately. And when we connect to something greater than ourselves, life gets easier. We don't feel so afraid. We don't feel like we're alone. We don't feel like something bad is happening and other people are taking things from us that belong to us, and we need to fight all the time, and and just so panicked. And so the medicine for life is the transcendence. The medicine is moving beyond the body, gaining the knowledge from doing that, and then integrating it into our everyday life. And when we do that, the heart space opens for all beings. There isn't a single being that's left out, because you are everything. And if you are everything, then if you are judging one being as better or higher than another, it's going to create some dissonance, and you won't really know who you truly are. You won't really know what to do next that would lead to life being easier. Because if we are acting from a very limited, separate space, and we're making decisions that are selfish, or decisions that are solely based on what the individual wants or thinks it needs and not considering anything else, that's the path to disaster. That's the path to imbalance. That's the path to suffering. That isn't ever going to lead to anything that we would want, even if we think we want it or the ego decides that we want it. It's not going to work. So everything gets easier when we know who we are. And the only way we can know who we are is to move beyond the body. I'm quite tired today. I was in a permanent meditative state pretty much all last night. And it's left me feeling kind of half in, half out, but in a spacey way today. So I might appear a little bit different than I usually do. But I hope that you are getting something from this. And even if you're understanding it intellectually, because that makes sense, I understand the different levels, I understand it theoretically. That's a start. Some of you might be getting it at deeper levels. You might be connecting to experiences you've had, transcendental experiences you've had, where you felt like, oh, I'm not my body. Or some of you might be having experiences and memories from love or compassion for other people. And so, whatever you are connecting to right now, know that everything is okay. That how could it not be okay? We are all so interconnected. And so, whatever I do to ease my suffering and to see clearly will help everybody else because we're so interconnected. And all of that insight is shared throughout the system. And that's why we have this evolution of consciousness thing that happens, and things that were cool one day are not cool the next, because people are doing the work, they're meditating, they're contemplating other ways of doing things, they're coming up with solutions, they have the desire to expand, and then things just shift, 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 and then we go up and up and up in consciousness. We expand, expand, expand. We're going to probably be expanding into psychic realms where we'll be able to connect to animals, and we'll be able to connect to other beings on other planets, and we'll be able to connect to all sorts of things that are beyond just our individual identities. And it's already happening. Today, I noticed that there is an autistic Barbie, and I was like, wow. There used to be Barbies of color. That was a big thing. Oh, wow, we can connect to people with different skin colors. And now there's autistic Barbie. Oh, we can connect to people who think differently to us. Because people who think differently to us, who are neurodiverse, are such gifts. Because the most neurodiverse things that I can think of are alien intelligences. And there are alien intelligences that are on the planet right now. They're autistic people. We don't have to go really far to find aliens. Autistic people are aliens. They have access to alien knowledge because of their autism. And they are gifts that have come to the planet to upgrade human consciousness. But because they're so high vibe, it can sometimes be really hard to have a human body when you're that high vibe. So we're in a really interesting time where we're starting to understand, oh, autistic individuals have some gifts that we can tap into, we can learn from them, we can come up with solutions about how to save humanity if we use compassion, understanding, curiosity towards these people. so that we can become a better species on the planet. And it's going to move beyond that to even things that are not human at all or appearing in human bodies. So things are moving in the right direction. Sometimes there's stress that gets released. There's definitely a lot of stress that's getting released. And that can cause wars, that can cause imbalances in the system, but it always rectifies itself. And so if you have an animal, be silent with your animal, connect to your animal non-verbally. If you have neurodiverse friends or colleagues, be open, be curious to how they see the world, any solutions they might have, because they are gifts. And the best thing we can do is to not be closed-minded. We can't be closed-minded when we want to evolve. We have to be creative and come up with solutions, new things. Be open. And I pray that we can all have a direct experience of knowing how interconnected we are, and not just on an intellectual level, on a deep emotional and psychic level.